Here are my thoughts and 2 cents on some of the headlines that is put out in the media. So the court date for Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively has been set for March 2026, and people are like, why so far away? Believe it or not, that is actually normal. That's standard. Ask any attorney that makes legal content on TikTok or YouTube. They'll tell you that is normal. That gives them an opportunity and time to either collect evidence, gather witness statements, collect witnesses, or settle out of court. Now, I've had some questions posed to me. Are they going to settle out of court? It's 50-50. It just depends. But what is Ryan Reynolds' motto? Maximum effort. Because he is Deadpool and Deadpool is him. He actually has a company named Maximum Effort. So knowing him and his ego, they're going to take this shit to court. But believe it or not, and I said this in a comment section, that most court proceedings will take anywhere between 18 to 24 months. So it's just going to give both sides an opportunity to either settle or collect witnesses and more evidence. So I seen this article from the Daily Mail that Taylor Swift is going to distance herself from Blake Lively. Honestly, I have nothing to say about it because I don't know them. I don't know their psyche. I don't know their relationship dynamic. So I can't, without speculating and assuming by projecting my standards on how I maintain relationships, it's hard to tell. So I have nothing to say on that. I seen this particular article a couple of days ago, and my immediate thought was an interview that Stephen King had gave about 10 years ago where he no longer reads people's work anymore. Stephen King has a very strong fan base, and aspiring writers would DM him or email him their work and be like, hey, can you give me some feedback and everything else? Mind you, this guy gets flooded with a lot of emails and a lot of DMs with, drafts and manuscripts. And one thing leads to another, he would always get sued. So Stephen King actually said he does not read anybody's manuscript because he's been sued too many times where folks have accused him of stealing their work. That was the first thing that came to mind when I read the article. Ironically, the Brian Friedman represented the guy who sued Justin Baldoni. What happened to the guy? He died. That's why the case never went anywhere. He died. No, this is not a piece on the puzzle board. This is not a piece. I've had people ask me about this, and I've said, yeah, he's been sued before. The guy died, so the case went nowhere. It's not a piece on the puzzle board. It's irrelevant. It is irrelevant to what's going on now. And so people are grasping at straws to try to paint Justin Baldoni as being this evil, narcissistic guy. And these are two very different cases that has absolutely nothing to do with each other. So I am coming out and giving you my thoughts and 2 cents. It's not a piece on a puzzle board. It is irrelevant. I've seen multiple comments on both my YouTube channel as well as here where people are like, DARVO is just not limited to intimate relationships. Now, I said what I said because where else have you heard DARVO referenced? I understand that when you look at the definition of it, that it is not limited to intimate relationships. But in the context of DARVO, it is always referenced in intimate relationships. That's why I said what I said. Now, have I've experienced narcissistic, abusive, toxic situations in the workplace? Yes. I was in the Army for 20 years. It's a breeding ground for narcissistic sociopaths. You name it, I have experienced it, but I do not let it shape who I am. I do not make it a part of my identity and personality. It is either a section or footnote in my book. I do not give power to these people. So I still stand on business when I said that, the way Blake Lively references, or more like her PR team, references DARVO in the context of Justin Baldoni, it's like, dude, they did not date. They were co-workers pretending to be in love. But because she's a shitty ass actress who cannot step into a role, she thinks that the abuse and the loving that Rao was doing, she thinks that it was done to her and not Lily. So I said what I said. I stand on business. While DARVO can be used interchangeably in various types of relationships, in the context that you hear it used the most is in intimate partner abuse.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
First, it was Timu Thor. But you could see through his facial expressions that he deeply regretted his decision. But you know.
Got to see it through, my boy. God damn it.
So now it's the brother? You know, there's this old saying that perception is 9/10 of reality. So based off of my perception, because I can only speak for myself, that means that she's a liar. But I've been saying that she's a liar based off of, the corroborating evidence that has been presented. But this sets a precedent that goes on in Hollywood, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they set some type of policy in place that you have to file some sort of grievance or complaint with SAG-AFTRA. Because that boils down to the question of, if this sexual harassment actually happened, why didn't she file a complaint with her union? Because the moment you got SAG involved, SAG would have shut that shit down so fast. Because SAG is very powerful. Considering that in her demand letter, it states that everything will be in accordance of SAG-AFTRA policy. I've had a lot of people sit there and argue me down that SAG is not powerful. Really? If they're not powerful, why is it that all of their guidelines, memorandums, and rules is in accordance with SAG? So, with that being said, if the sexual harassment actually happened, why didn't she contact SAG? But let me know your thoughts.